That looks good. Here, start rewriting it in here.
Okay.
Education is an area that reveals the best and worst of Wisconsin. For decades, white student test scores and graduation rates have been among the best in the nation, while the differences between them and black student achievement are the worst.
First, let me say it's very embarrassing because I spend a lot of my time across the country and they're like, yeah, but aren't you from Wisconsin?
Gloria Ladson Billings is a world-renowned education researcher at the University of Wisconsin.
How can a state that is doing so well by its white students be doing so poorly by other students?
We need to understand our own biases, that we all have them.
Madison School Superintendent Jennifer Cheatham acknowledges the racial disparities in education, which date back to at least 1994, when a report detailed a dual education system in Madison, in which white students succeeded and black students struggled. And the newest state test results released this fall show that is still the case, with 55% of white students compared to 8.5% of African American students scoring proficient in math and nearly the same achievement chasm in English language arts.
I agree, it's not good enough. But I think we've made more progress than we have ever made.
Cheatham says the district's internal testing shows the first narrowing of the achievement gap in Madison schools, and she says they've stepped up recruitment of minority teachers, hiring close to 60 for this school year. But Ladson Billings says there's still a long way to go, and says a lot of it comes down to white teachers developing better understandings and relationships with black students and their parents.
We have a teaching force that isn't prepared culturally, isn't prepared linguistically, isn't prepared socially, because their own experiences are so different from those of the students.
Now, in our documentary, Madison Elementary teacher Kamara Stovall had some advice for teachers when it comes to working with struggling students.
You need to really spend a lot of time, establishing a relationship with the child, showing them that you care, showing them that things that, finding anything that's common with your life or things that you've gone through that they're doing.
In the past, there have been attempts at doing this kind of work in our district that have broken down because teachers received it as an indictment, right? As threatening their identities as people who care about children.
But in her 4 years at MMSD, Cheatham says they've instituted a racial awareness program that teachers have accepted.
And one of the things that we've been striving for is ensuring that every child, every family feels a deep sense of belonging in their school and in the school environment, right? That they're not just welcome at school, but they belong in school.
But schools depend on the rest of the community for things like housing and jobs to close the racial disparity gaps.
I remind people that this is not the hardest thing that we as Americans have to do. It clearly is not the hardest thing that African Americans have had to do.
If it's not the most difficult thing, Gloria, then why haven't we been able to do it?
That's my question. And I think it all centers on something we want to call political will.